Alright, so the Eagles just had their one and only joint practice at training camp against the New England Patriots, and the Birds' offense was on fire, as Jalen Hurts and the guys shredded the pass defense, and Saquon Barkley specifically had an awesome play, as he's proving to be an elite receiving weapon in the Birds' offense, and that could be scary for NFL defenses. Meanwhile, the Eagles' defense made plays as well, as they got a few interceptions, and the linebackers specifically made their presence felt. Plus, rookie Cooper DeJean has finally returned to the field, so let's talk about all that and everything else from the Eagles and Patriots joint practice. And we won't waste any time, let's get straight into it. So let's start this off with something crazy that just happened yesterday, as the Eagles are now looking even smarter for a move they made way back on the 1st of April, and the move I'm talking about is their trade with the Jets that sent Haason Reddick to New York and a conditional 2026 third-round pick back to Philadelphia. And at the time, it didn't really seem like the Eagles necessarily came away as winners of the trade, just because a conditional third-round pick in 2 years doesn't exactly sound like a great haul, but after the news that came out yesterday, the Eagles honestly should feel like winners for getting anything out of it, as Haason Reddick has now officially requested a trade from the New York Jets, which is just insane considering he was traded not even 5 months ago, and Reddick hasn't even played a game for them yet. But honestly, if you look a little deeper into the situation, it should have been expected, because the whole reason that the Eagles traded him in the first place was because Reddick wanted a new contract extension to be compensated like one of the top edge rushers in the league, and you can't fault him for that because that's what he is, but the Eagles just didn't want to pay that, so they explored other options and ended up trading him to the Jets. But the problem is, the Jets didn't give Reddick a new extension either, so Reddick held out and he didn't show up to OTAs, mandatory minicamp, or training camp, and now of course he wants out again so that he can go somewhere else where they're willing to pay him. Now Jets GM Joe Douglas has made it clear that they aren't planning on trading Reddick, but I honestly just think that this is a big win by the Eagles, because not only did they avoid this messy holdout situation, but they also at least got something out of it and replaced Reddick with a younger, more raw prospect in Bryce Huff, who hopefully, fingers crossed, pans out. So drop a like down below for the Eagles coming out of the Haason Reddick situation as winners. Let's try and hit 800 likes on today's video. Now the Eagles obviously had their one and only joint practice of the summer today with the New England Patriots, and early on there was some great news, as the rookie defensive back Cooper DeJean, who had missed all of camp so far with a hamstring injury, was activated from the non-football injury list today, and he was out on the practice field with pads, and it looked like he was going to practice for the first time at camp. So naturally, Nick Sirianni was asked about DeJean in his pre-practice press conference, and he gave us this update.
Yeah, he's going to get some individual work today, see how he feels. He's progressing nicely, and we'll get some individual work. Don't know about the team stuff yet, but let's see how he is through individual.
So while DeJean isn't fully back from his injury, as he's not participating in team drills, it's still awesome that he's just back out on the field and getting some individual work in, as it's a great step in the right direction, and it shows that he's going to be back out there in full capacity very soon. Now somebody's return who we're still waiting on is Gardner-Johnson's, as he's been out of practice for around a week now with a shoulder injury. He obviously wasn't practicing today, but Nick Sirianni says that he's continuing to work his way back, and based on all reports, it should not be too long before he's back out on the practice field. And someone who was back out there on Tuesday for joint practice was wide receiver Parris Campbell. Now Campbell has missed some time with a groin injury, and he's in a crowded wide receiver room where everyone's kind of competing for playing time right now, so it's definitely a good thing for him that he's back, as he looks to earn a significant role in the Eagles offense this year, especially due to the fact that since he's been out, a few of the other guys have really started to stand out. And that includes Covey, as head coach Nick Sirianni had some praise for him ahead of practice on Tuesday.
Yeah, we've been around Britton a long time, and he's, you can really see his ability when he has the ball in his hands, because that's what he does, right? The sure hands of how he catches punts, and then his ability to maneuver around defenders in open space. And that translates, like when you look at a college guy, for instance, you look a lot. I look a lot at the yards after catch of how they are, because that translates to how they're going to be on the line of scrimmage. That translates how they're going to be at the top of the route. That translates how their acceleration is. So we know Britton has a lot of good attributes, and he's had a really nice camp.
I honestly just love all the hype that Covey has been getting during training camp, because he's a guy that's just so easy to root for, given that he was undrafted and he's fought for a spot on this team every single day for a few years now, and he was even cut by the Eagles in the past. So the fact that he seems to be potentially earning some playing time at wide receiver now is just awesome, and I really do like his skill set, especially when he gets the ball in his hands like Sirianni said. And a couple other guys whose skill sets I obviously like are A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith, and we got clips of both of those guys having some nice moments in 1v1s to start out practice, with DeVonta Smith winning this rep and making a nice catch on a route over the middle, and then A.J. Brown won this rep for a touchdown, so that was definitely awesome to see. And then later in 7-on-7s, the wide receiver duo continued to look good, with Zach Zach Berman putting out a tweet saying, quote, "First 6 plays is 7-on-7, 4 passes to A.J. Brown, 2 to DeVonta Smith. Ball hit the ground once. For all the talk about upgrading third wide receiver, discussion in which I've contributed, this is still like having a passing game with Shaq and Covey." Plus, ESP put out a tweet specifically detailing that one of Smitty's catches during this period was a perfect 35-plus yard pass from Jalen Hurts, so safe to say that AJ and Smitty were torching the Patriots defense early on in practice, and another receiver was actually doing the same, as John Ross had a really good day against the Patriots defense, making multiple plays, including pulling in a deep pass from Kenny Pickett after beating the Patriots defense, and also making a great catch over the middle from Pickett as well. So it's nice to see Ross making plays and continuing to make a case to earn playing time at wide receiver. And staying with the offense, Jalen Hurts continued his awesome camp as he lit up the Patriots defense during practice, and he might have actually just had his best play at camp yet, so don't worry, we're going to get into that and so much more in just a minute. But real quick, I do want to say, if you are enjoying this video and you don't want to miss any more Eagles preseason, training camp, or regular season coverage coming in the future, then make sure you subscribe, and also really importantly, turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. I'd say that's a win-win for the both of us, because not only do I get more people consistently watching these videos, but you don't miss any other Eagles coverage or content just like this. So again, subscribe and also turn on notifications. And again, also, if you haven't already, make sure you drop a like. Let's try and hit 800 likes today. That'd be greatly appreciated. And with all that being said, let's get back into the video. So Jalen Hurts had another fantastic day of practice on Tuesday, and this time it was actually against a different defense, so that's pretty awesome. Now once again, Jalen threw no interceptions during practice, and he was extremely accurate and efficient once again, as he finished 24 for 28 on his throws with 1 touchdown and no interceptions. And Hurts had several nice plays throughout the day, making good throws to DeVonta Smith and A.J. Brown throughout, and perhaps his best play at camp so far came in team drills when he threw a perfectly placed ball to Saquon Barkley on a wheel route for a 30-yard touchdown with Matt Judon trailing in coverage. So overall, it's just great to hear that Hurts was continuing his elite play during camp in the Eagles joint practice against a different defense. And it was also really exciting to hear about Saquon Barkley getting involved, as typically, running backs just don't get as much of the shine during camp as other positions, so we really haven't heard too much about Saquon during these practices. But make no mistake, Barkley has still had a good camp, as he's gotten a ton of touches with the first team offense, and you can see especially in the Eagles 1 open practice at the link that Saquon is a big part of this offense, and he's going to get a ton of carries, and also he's going to be a big part of the passing game as well, and that's been evident based on comments from the coaching staff and certain players during camp, and also from seeing plays like this one from joint practice. And it's just so exciting, because having Barkley as a legit threat out of the backfield to make big plays in the receiving game just adds a whole new element to the Eagles offense. I mean, a 30-plus yard receiving touchdown from a running back on a wheel route is something I feel like I haven't seen from the Eagles offense at least since probably 2019 and Miles Sanders' rookie year. So if we can get back to having the running back being a significant part of the passing game, then that's just scary, considering all the talent and the different things defenses are going to have to account for when facing the Birds offense. And it's definitely clear that the Eagles offense won the battle on the day between them and the Patriots defense, but Jalen Hurts thinks that they still have a lot of growing to do.
I learned that we're still a work in progress in terms of taking those steps that we want in the right direction. I think there are a lot of good things and a lot of things to learn from.
So I love that Jalen is just being the voice of reason, because, fans, including myself, want to get all excited about how the offenses look during training camp, but in all honesty, they just still have a lot of growing and getting better to do before they're even close to reaching their ceiling. So just glad to hear Jalen put that into words, and it just shows that he's still hungry and trying to get better. But now, switching over to the defense, they had a great day as well, as they had their way with the Patriots offense for most of practice, with the linebackers in particular making some very nice plays. And that starts with Nakobe, as we gotta give him his flowers, because there has been a ton of criticism of the third-year linebacker, including from today's practice, but that didn't stop him from making one of the best defensive plays of the day, as Dean broke up a Jacoby Brissett pass in the end zone that was in tight end Austin Hooper's hands, but he popped the ball up into the air, leading to Zach Bond intercepting the pass. So you gotta give Dean props for that, especially since everybody has just been killing him for his pass coverage ability lately. And then later, Brissett was actually picked off again, this time by another linebacker in the rookie Jeremiah Trotter Jr., as while he was facing the Pats' first-team offense, he jumped in front of Brissett's pass to get the interception. So it's awesome to just hear that the rookie is continuing to make plays during camp, and it's awesome to see him do it against a different offense during joint practice as well. And as I've said before, I really do feel like whenever Trotter gets his opportunity to play, he's going to make the most of it. And Brandon Graham seems to have confidence in Trotter as well, as he said this about him after practice.
Man, you know what? He gonna work hard. I mean, one thing I will say, that hammer is real, for real. That celebration, I see him every day. This boy come to work. You can already tell that just from what he do during the off season with his dad. But I just know that for him, I was happy to see him get an interception. Happy to see everything starting to slow down a little bit.
So it's just awesome to hear the vet praise the rookie like that, and it just gives me more confidence that Trotter has the potential to become a productive player, in part just because he is a super hard worker. And then to just highlight some other impressive plays made by the defense, Brandon Graham had a sack on the first-team offense, while Keely Ringo had a pass breakup in the end zone that was nearly an interception. Nolan Smith also had a sack on Drake May, and Bryce Huff had a sack against the first-team offense. So that's definitely promising, as there are certainly some questions surrounding Huff right now, as the Eagles are going to be heavily relying on him to produce this season, so it's definitely great to hear that he's making plays against a different offense in joint practice. And overall, it was just yet another successful joint practice for the Eagles, as they looked much better than the Patriots on both sides of the ball, and now they'll match up with the Pats again on Thursday in their second preseason game of the summer. And I'm going to be covering everything from that, as well as the rest of preseason, training camp, and once the regular season begins. So again, make sure you guys subscribe, and also really importantly, turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. And also, while you're at it, make sure you drop a like to show some support. I really would greatly appreciate it, and it does help me out a ton. And it would also help me out a ton if you leave a comment down below. Just give me your thoughts and opinions on anything that happened during the Eagles and Patriots joint practice. And if you want to watch another video going over the Eagles' last practice at training camp, and also a big signing that they recently made, you can check this out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.